I hate that the conversation surrounding the 2025 Big Ten Championship game is that Indiana needs a break to win. That Indiana almost doesn't have much of a chance, or that it's viewed as a bold prediction to pick Indiana to win. It's not. They're only 4.5 point underdogs against Ohio State. And when you look at the power ratings and metrics, this should be Ohio State -1 or a pick 'em. The line is a little bit too much in Ohio State's favor. And the Hoosiers have more than a chance to beat Ohio State. They have a really good chance. They have multiple pathways to beat Ohio State in the same way that Ohio State has multiple paths to beat them. The path for Indiana to win here is through their lines of scrimmage. Indiana's offensive line is deeper than it was last year. It's better. Pat Coogan is probably an upgrade over Mike Caddick at center, and Caddick was ridiculous. Carter Smith is better than he was last year. Khalil Benson is a great offensive tackle. Bray Lynch and Drew Evans this time around are both healthy for this game, and they're a little bit deeper too. On top of that, when you look at the defense, Tyreek Tucker has been fantastic. Landino's made a good transition to defensive tackle, and their ends, Michael Kamara and Stephen Daly, they've improved from where their defensive ends were last year, where it was really the Michael Kamara show and no one else. Now they have depth there. They have two guys, maybe three. At linebacker, they returned Aiden Fisher. Elijah Hardy stepped up wonderfully, and Isaiah Jones has performed at a high level. And their tight ends are better than they were last year. So their lines of scrimmage is one of the best in football. I want to see this game before declaring it straight up as the best, especially with how it looked when banged up on the offensive line. But I have an inkling that this could be the best lines of scrimmage in football. And how you beat Ohio State is through elite physicality and elite ground forces, because it's not because Ohio State's weak there. That's sometimes a misconception people have. They've been weak there before, but they have not been weak there for a while. It's because with Hartline, and this might change in the future, but Hartline's still there. The receivers are still going to be there for more than just this year. And with that combined with their defensive back groups, whether it's Tim Walton, Matt Guerreri, whether it's DC Jim Knowles or Matt Patricia, you have never been able to beat them through the air straight up. You've had to, match them through the air at times, but then try to surpass them on the ground. That's why Georgia was able to come back against them in 2022. That's why Michigan was able to beat them in 23. That is why Michigan was able to, in a stupid way, beat them last year, and why Oregon was able to beat them last year. If Indiana's going to get this done, it will be through the lines of scrimmage. Indiana's offense is multiple. 2, they can counteract Patricia's multiple defense. If Patricia wants to operate in a 4-2-5, they can power run, and they can take advantage of that. And they can play off of that with RPO to keep the safeties and linebackers honest a bit. If Patricia wants to go 4-3 and put the corners on more of an island there, if he wants to, run a 5-2-4, something along those lines, well, then Ohio State's corners are on islands, and Indiana probably likes their wide receivers against Ohio State's corners to a limited degree. You see what I'm saying? If they want to go 3-4 and have multiple linebackers out there, this channel will make you a college football expert and help you enjoy watching games and make more accurate predictions. So what are you waiting for? Like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, comment your thoughts, and watch the video all the way through so that you can get the full package. And check the description and pinned comment for more ways to help yourself and this channel. And only 3 defensive linemen, and say they only send 3 out of that, or they, send the house or whatever. Well, they have receivers that can get open. They have a tight end that can leak out of there, and they block well enough to where they probably can run on these guys a little bit. So it's not to say that they're going to destroy this defense. It's not what I think, in the same way that I don't think Ohio State is going to destroy Indiana's defense. These teams are pretty equal in a lot of ways. And if Ohio State's talent advantage is not what it is per the recruiting rankings, where it's nullified by other factors like playing the game, what the film has said, what happens on this given Saturday, then Indiana should be able to give that defense some adversity that they have not faced. The ground attack for Indiana, let's focus on that a little bit more. 6.02 yards per carry, which is 12th, and a 48.7 rushing success rate, which is 5th. They are deep at running back with Kobe Martin, with Kaelon Black, and Roman Hemby. Fernando Mendoza can run the football, and their offensive line for this game will be the healthiest it's been since probably, I would say, like the Michigan State game or the Oregon game. It's going to be the healthiest it's been in quite some time. So I like this ground attack. I think it's one of the best ground attacks in college football. And if they win this game, this will be a reason why. The receivers, too. The possession receivers. Talk about Elijah Sarratt, Nomar Cooper Jr. They just get open. They make these amazing catches. Remember the Oregon game? Remember the Penn State game where Cooper just made some fantastic possession catches? Ohio State, I know, has more NFL talent at receiver. But from a collegiate catching angle, when IU's receivers are on, they can be as good as anyone else when it comes to making contested catches and also getting open. And think about that paired with Mendoza and how good he's been this year, and paired with this rushing attack, and paired with their RPO scheme, and even paired with when they don't run RPO, and they just, whether it's straight up they run at you or they, go drop back pass on you. They're so diverse, but they're not the master of none. They're kind of the master of everything, in a sense, that they should be able to put up some yards here and some points and some touchdowns. And that's the path here. A lot of it is through the offense because of how good Patricia's defense is and how that's where Ohio State wants to lean on. The reason Ohio State's able to go so low possession and game control is because of their defense. If you're able to somehow attack that, they're going to have to completely change the game plan because that's where the game plan is through. And that gets to the talented backfield, where Indiana is averaging more than an interception per game. They are one of the best in America at forcing turnovers. A lot of that stuff can sometimes be viewed as fluky. Sometimes, like Notre Dame last year, Michigan in some seasons. But in terms of fluky, all that means is it might puff up the power ratings a bit. Having that big of a turnover margin is indicative of having sound fundamental football. And what Indiana has been able to do is get pressure, make you make throws you regret. They are able to make contested catches with their defensive backs, and they tackle at a high level, and they get pressure at a high level. Like sometimes they will show pressure from one angle, and they bring it from the entire different side of the field. Bryant Haynes does a good job mixing up his looks, operating out of different modes of attack, and I think that Indiana's defense, in the same way their offense is a better shot against this Buckeye defense than a lot of people give them credit for, it's the same thing with this Hoosier defense. I'm picking Indiana to win. I'm not guaranteeing an Indiana win, but I don't like how this conversation is about how Ohio State's going to win here. They could. They could. They should be favored to win. They should be. They should probably be favored by 1, though. I think 4.5 might be a bit too excessive. And Indiana, as we've discussed, has more than a chance. They have multiple avenues of attack. They have an elite coaching staff. They, relative to a college standpoint, have an elite roster, starting roster at least. And they're deeper at certain positions than they were last year. I will also say, too, I don't know how this is bold, but I don't think it is. Ohio State's not what they were last year. Thank you for watching. It's my mission on College Football with Sam to make you the most informed, knowledgeable, and entertained fan as possible. We aren't perfect, but we hit the nail on the head more often than we hit our thumb with the hammer. Make sure to like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, comment, and if you're here, you've probably already watched the whole video. So thank you for doing those things.